So here it finally is, part 3 of the Abu Dhabi fix, the human error. Now I'm breaking this down into 8 parts just to try and show people the actual mechanics of what they had to do to make this crime stick. Okay, now there might be more parts, there might be people able to add detail to this, but I need you to all see the mechanics of what they had to do to make the world believe it. Even though we don't believe it, even though we know it's a fraud, this is the process that they went down to make it stick. I've done part 1, which is the F1 TV narrative. The fact that what you saw on live TV did not show you what you needed to see. You needed just to see the clear-up operation. They gave you replays of the crash. They showed you the cars going around the track. They showed you cutting to the pits. They interjected that with messages which were completely irrelevant and not in accordance with the rules. And all they were doing was conditioning you to believe that it was going to be possible. Okay, are we going to see this? Are we not? For this last lap shootout. That's what they directed you to, the notion of, is it going to happen? Isn't it going to happen? It posed that question when you could have answered that question yourself had they have clearly showed you the portion of the track where the only portion that was relevant. And they didn't do that. And they didn't do that by design. And if you actually know how they go about constructing that and editing it, that is done by design. So that's part 1. Part 2, the Sky Sports narrative. I've done many videos about this, but this is where Martin Brundle and David Croft are lying in commentary about the rules of the sport. They're lying about the rules of the sport. They're presenting possibilities that aren't possible, okay, as giving ways and possibilities as to that Grand Prix restarting. Okay, even on lap 57, you've got Martin Brundle says, but I think the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap. There is nothing in the rules whatsoever that would ever indicate that that was possible. No interpretation of those rules whatsoever could give you that impression. And yet Martin Brundle says that at the beginning of lap 57. Okay, there is a problem there. There is a problem there. So now we're on to this notion of a human error from Michael Massey. So here we go. Now I've already presented much of this in this video with this thumbnail, but that's an hour and 48 minutes long, and most people will not see that. They will not sit through a video of that length. So I'm trying to condense that information down to 15-20 minutes that hopefully more and more people will see. It is your responsibility to make sure more and more people see the evidence, see the truth, which is going to be presented here. So I'm going to skip through that PowerPoint that I did and show you the bits relevant to the fact that this was no human error. Okay, this was no human error, and bear this in mind. Play your part. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. So share this, make people aware, make people see what is truly going on, because this stretches far beyond just Formula One. Anyway, serious fraud office in the UK doing nothing about it. This is a crime. This is a serious fraud. They're doing nothing about it. That's a problem. That should set the alarm bells ringing. It is a crime. There's multiple crimes, as explained in the longer version. Evidence. There's loads of pieces of evidence. Okay, this is just going to focus on this notion of it being a human error, which it isn't. So we're told, oh, it was just Michael Massey. He was under pressure because all the teams were on the radio giving him pressure, and he just wanted to set it up because all the teams agreed to a racing finish. Bullshit. Okay, this notion of all the teams agreed to a racing finish. When did you hear that? After the event, when they're validating what he did. Okay, and you know what? It's irrelevant. The teams can't agree to rules being broken because this is a global sport. This is being broadcast and sold to a global audience. You can't have them make a little agreement behind the scenes saying, "Oh well, we'll just do it this way." No, people are betting on the outcome of that. You can't then change the rules of it because then what are you betting on? You're not betting on what it is you know that you are betting on. Okay, so you cannot do anything like that. So that's an absolute bollocks suggestion that, oh well, the teams agreed it, so that's okay. It's not. This is the reality of what race control looks like for the FIA. I don't have a picture from Abu Dhabi, but at every Grand Prix, this is the kind of scenario you have. You have race control where there are at least 10 members of the FIA in race control. They've all got data screens in front of them. Okay, look how many have got headsets on. They're able to communicate. Okay, there are at least 10 people, experienced people that know what they are doing. They've been doing it for years. You can go back 10 seasons and still see some of these same faces in those pictures. Okay, they know what they are doing. This is not just Michael Massey in a room on his own under pressure, receiving all calls from all different parties, going, "Oh, what do I do? What do I do? There's loads of people here. And they know what they're doing and they know the implications of what they're doing. This is another picture of it. Count the people there. They're all fulfilling roles. They don't give you this picture in Abu Dhabi. In Abu Dhabi, they don't cut the camera to here. And think of this. In the UK, we had a recent controversy about VAR messing up by confirming a decision. The on-field decision was offside, and VAR checked it. It should have been a valid goal, and it's in I think it's a Liverpool match. Should have been a valid goal, and what VAR did, they confirmed the onside decision, but they made an error. They thought that they were confirming that it should have been a goal, but actually by confirming it the way they did, they confirmed that actually the on-field decision of it being offside meant that it wasn't a goal. What they did, they showed the world what took place in the VAR office. They broadcast those conversations. You've never heard that from FIA race control in Abu Dhabi. Instead, this man has been gagged. This man has signed an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. He's not allowed to say anything. But even if they'd have been doing a facade in the FIA race control office, even if they'd been playing to the cameras there, it's still a corrupt lie, as I'll evidence. These are the 4 stewards. Well, this isn't the exact 4 stewards. Derek Warwick there, the second from the left, he was one of the stewards. But you have 4 stewards as well, making their decisions, making their judgments calls as to what constitutes a penalty and what doesn't. These are the 4 stewards that you go to after the event, in the event of an appeal. Again, not the same guys. The next part of this exposure talks about them 4 guys. So, back in 2012, the unlapping of lapped cars was reintroduced into this sport. Okay, 2012. So Abu Dhabi 2021 was the end of the 10th full season where they've operated the unlapping procedure when cars have been lapped in Grand Prix. Okay, the end of 10 full seasons. So Abu Dhabi was the 199th Grand Prix since the unlapping of lapped cars was reintroduced. 199 times that they've performed an event under those rules. Okay, these were the rules back in 2012. Okay, the section I've highlighted in green says, and this is the purpose. Okay, this is the purpose, that they subsequently amended the wording of the rules to try to speed the process up. Okay, the rules say, and to take up position at the back of line of cars behind the safety car. So they're released and then they are given the time to try to take up position at the back of the line of cars. And what happened in those first few seasons is the race director, Charlie Whiting, at the time, often, okay, and this is evidence, left that safety car lapping around that track for, say, 2 laps beyond the lap that they were released on to give them that time. Okay, but then there was complaints from either whether it be teams or whether it be media saying this process takes too long It's taken a lot of time out of the race. Spectators are getting bored by it. Can we speed this up? So they introduced this notion of it being a compulsory one lap, but the rest is discretion. And what that discretion revolves around is, have the cars caught up? And if they haven't fully caught up, are they at least closer to the back of the pack than they previously were? So for example, let me just run you by this example as if it was Abu Dhabi. Prior to the Latifi crashing, Lando Norris was less than 12 seconds behind Pierre Gasly. Okay, Hamilton had made it past Norris, but he'd not yet lapped Gasly. But there's a 12-second gap between the two. The crash happens, the safety car comes out. Gasly disappears off into the distance, but Norris gets held back. So the purpose of releasing the lapped cars is to release Norris and all those behind Norris, okay, to give him the chance of making it around the track and getting on the back of Gasly in the same way that Max Verstappen, who was 12 seconds behind Hamilton, gets on the back of Hamilton. Sainz, who was behind Verstappen, gets on the back of Verstappen. Okay, the same conditions apply to every competitor in that race. That is the purpose. Okay, now, if having been released, Lando Norris does not make it around and catch Gasly, so that they're all in a line, one behind the other, with approximately half a second separating each car. Okay, if Lando Norris has made it around and is within 12 seconds of Gasly, then it's within the race director's discretion to say, right, that's near enough. He's closer to him than he was at the point where the race was stopped due to a safety incident. The race was nullified due to a safety incident. He's not left disadvantaged. He's not now had his race impacted where he's now further behind than what he previously was. We've carried out the mandatory procedure. We can now get going again. All right? So providing Lando Norris gets back within that distance, the race director is likely to say one lap's enough, carry on. However, we can prove that the race director, and this is Michael Massey, did it on 4 occasions where those released lapped cars did not make it around to that kind of point, and therefore he kept that safety car on track lapping for a further additional lap to ensure that those released cars could make it to the back of the pack. Massey has proven that he is capable of doing that. That proves he knows the purpose of the rules, the implications to every single competitor in that race. That would have been taught to him by Charlie Whiting. This isn't a novice. If you get the position as the pinnacle official in the pinnacle of motorsport, you don't get given that if you're a novice. You don't get given that if you can't demonstrate your competency. So don't try to claim this is a human error. It's not a human error. So, 199 Grand Prix. One of them's asterisk because the Belgian parade is not a Grand Prix. You have to race in order for something to be a Grand Prix. A parade where no overtaking is permitted is not a race. Never was. At no point in the Belgian parade 2021 could overtaking be permitted. Therefore, it's not a race. There were, within those 199 Grand Prix, 147 safety car deployments. Abu Dhabi was 148th. There are at least 10 FIA personnel in FIA race control. So, in that 10-year period, those 10 people in FIA race control, several of them will have been there for a long period of that 10 years. We can break that down if we find out exactly who they are and how long they've worked for the FIA. This is all possible to do. So we get the amended rules, okay? With these ones are the 2016 ones where they say that it changes from making it around to rejoin the back of the pack, okay? Now what it's saying is any cars will be required, okay, to pass the cars on the lead lap. And then once the last lapped car has passed the leader the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So that was 2016 that notion became that. Again, to speed up the process, but the actual underlying purpose remains. That is the underlying purpose. This notion that Brundle lies to you about of them, getting them out of the way of the race between the leaders. Who determines who the leaders are and who's allowed to race? That's not the discretion of the race director. The FIA International Sporting Code dictates sporting fairness to every competitor. You can't make a judgment by one man to say, oh, the leaders are just Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, but third place, they don't matter. Carlos Sainz in third, we can just ignore him. We can leave 2 lapped cars blocking him off from challenging from them top 2 positions, meaning that when they cross the start finish line on that restart, rather than be half a second behind the car in front of him that he should be able to challenge, he's 2.5 seconds behind because he's got the distance of 2 lapped cars in between him. That he's not allowed to go past them. He's got to have that distance because that's the rules of the sport. You can't do that. And then we get to the 2021 version, okay, which again repeats what I just said in 2016. Once the last lap car has passed the leader and the safety car, once the last lap car has passed the leader, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. Okay, that purpose is to ensure that those released cars are given the opportunity to make it around the track and tag on to the back of that safety car line. To restore sporting fairness to every competitor. That's what they always do. That's the purpose. It's nothing to do with this notion of getting them out of the way of the leader. It's lies. They are using that lie to condition the narrative to enable them to get away with their corruption. We have here this notion of overtaking will not be permitted. Okay? It says, if the clerk of the course considers track conditions are unsuitable for overtaking, the message overtaking will not be permitted will be sent to all competitors. You did not get that message. Overtaking will not be permitted. The message was, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. That is different to overtaking will not be permitted. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Overtaking will not be permitted. Overtaking is not permitted if it is not safe to release the lapped cars. And if there are men on track clearing up the debris, it is not safe to release those lapped cars. Hence, you continue to lap behind the safety car. Resuming racing with lapped cars in situ is in no way possible. Brundle and Crofty lie about the rules to suggest that it's possible to go racing again with those lapped cars in situ. There is no interpretation of the rules whatsoever that permit that, but they are claiming that it's possible. That rule is on the grounds of safety, meaning if it is not safe to release the lapped cars, it is not safe to go racing. That is a basic. Anybody that seeks to argue otherwise is an absolute fool. It's not safe to release lapped cars. It's not safe to go racing. So you cannot go racing with lapped cars in situ. Once it becomes safe to release the lapped cars, that is what you do. So this notion, this banner you see on screen, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. They made that up for Abu Dhabi. They made that specific banner up. It's not a standard banner. They made that up for the fix. That is what they did to you. They made that banner up for the fix. The FIA, in their report, okay, they say it's the standard message, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake, was published, which led to confusion. The FIA are saying, oh, something led to confusion. Well, what would lead to confusion? The fact that you're doing something that's not possible, would that confuse people? But your FIA, you're projecting, you're excusing your corruption by claiming, oh, well, it just made a few people confused. Look at what they're doing. This is the governing body citing, oh, there's a bit of confusion, so that's why it all went a bit wrong. It's ridiculous. You wait till I do the part which exposes this. Race against manipulation. Gaslighting from these. 10 seasons, 199 Grand Prix, 148 safety car deployments, 49 of those required the unlapping of lapped cars. 49 of 148. So a third of the time that the safety car is deployed requires the unlapping. It's deployed when the leaders have lapped some of the back markers. That happens. It's a known thing. It happens 1/3 of the time, a third of safety car deployments. This is the list of them. Pause it, you can look at that. Some of them, it happened twice. Michael Massey, in his 2018 year as Charlie Whiting's understudy, the safety car was deployed 15 times. 5 of those 15 times, there were lapped cars. Each of those 5 times, all lapped cars were released and the mandatory safety car lap performed. The German Grand Prix in 2018, the safety car was kept out for 2 laps beyond the release of lap cars, witnessed by FIA steward Felix Holter. As race director, Massey deployed the safety car himself 52 times. 14 of those 52 times there were lapped cars. 13 of the 14 times all lapped cars were released and the mandatory safety car lap performed. 4 times, which was Spain 2019, Brazil 2019, Eiffel 2020, Sakir 2020, the safety car was kept out for 2 laps beyond the lap of the released lapped cars, witnessed by FIA stewards Derek Warwick and Gary Connolly. So in his 4 years of experience of being part of FIA race control, the safety car was deployed 67 times. 19 of those 67 times, 28% of deployments, there were lapped cars. 18 of those 19 cars, all lapped cars were released. The mandatory safety car lap was performed and one was different. And that was Abu Dhabi 2021. 5 of those 19 times, Germany 2018, Spain 2019, Brazil 2019, Eiffel 2020, Sakir 2020. So 26% of the lapped car safety car situations, the safety car was kept out for 2 laps beyond the released lap that the cars were released on. 2 further laps of the safety car, witnessed by the stewards Warwick, Connolly and Holter. 26% is not getting them out of the way. The single time that Massey didn't do this was Abu Dhabi. And here they go. But look at the picture you see. Massey's first ever safety car deployment. Bahrain. Right, this is Massey's safety car deployment and what the situation is at restart. This was a safety car finish. This was a safety car finish. He couldn't do the unlapping procedure in time. It was a safety car finish. You look at them cars, the position on the track. It was a safety car finish. Okay, Spanish Grand Prix. Look at the cars on track. Look at their order. Look at how bunched up they are. First down to the last remaining competitor in the correct race order, nose to tail. They spread out because the drivers, once they get to a certain point, and the safety car's out of the way, the leader will choose when he goes, and that can cause them to start spreading out. As you can see, at the start of the field, there's bigger gaps at the start, but they all get to a point where they're all bunched up, then the leader goes, and it causes this situation. Third one, Monaco. Look at the position of the cars. They're all bunched up in the correct race order. The leader goes. British Grand Prix. Nose to tail. All bunched up. Correct race order. This is how racing resumes after every restart situation, whether that be safety car, whether that be a restart after a red flag. This is what happens. Same again. Nose to tail. Correct race order. These are what Massey knows. This is the picture that 10 people in FIA race control know has to happen every single time. Next one. I think this is a German Grand Prix. So there you go. German Grand Prix. Nose to tail. Correct race order. German Grand Prix again. Nose to tail. Correct race order. There we go again. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Those cars that are hanging off the back that haven't fully caught the back of the pack are actually closer to the back of the pack, or the competitor that they were previously challenging, closer at this stage than they were prior to the safety incident. Hence, the race director has chosen to say, right, I've done the mandatory procedures, that we're in a position where we can get going again. Nobody's been left disadvantaged. There we go. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Off we go racing. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Off we go racing. Science is hanging off the back, but he's actually closer to the back of that pack than he was prior to the safety incident. Singapore again. Nose to tail. Correct race order. This is the conditions that you must achieve before resuming racing in a Grand Prix. That is the way the rules are written. That's the purpose of those rules. Anybody that tells you different is lying to you. They are lying to you. The media has never exposed this. There is nobody in the media that has ever exposed this, because it exposes the fix and what was known about the fix. Nose to tail. Correct race order. You can go through each of these Grand Prix, pause this, you'll see every event, you'll see this. Nose to tail. Correct race order. 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 Latifi off the back, but closer to Grosjean than he previously was. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Leclerc slightly off the back, closer than he was prior to the safety incident occurring. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Nose to tail. Correct race order. This is how racing resumes. Sporting fairness to every competitor in that race. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Nose to tail. Correct race order. This would have been a standing restart. Same again. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Nose to tail. Correct race order. And again. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Go back through these events. You will see this. This is tracker view that you can see on F1 TV. You can take these stills for yourself. You will see exactly where this evidence comes from. Nose to tail. Correct race order. It will tell you the lap on which this takes place. You can check this out for yourself. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Nose to tail. Correct race order. Safety car finish. Okay, number 33. The numbers, number 1 and number 33 of this slideshow. Okay, what happens? It's a safety car finish. Let's look at what the track looks like. Are they nose to tail? Are they in the correct race order? Look back at number turn 13. You've got Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon, the 2 yellow dots up there. Now they're in 7th and 9th. They're not in the correct race order, are they? Look at all them dots you see, starting from Hamilton as he's crossing the start-finish line, all the way back to the white dot there that looks like it could be Gasly. They've not managed to achieve nose to tail correct race order. You can't go racing again. This was a safety car finish. This was a safety car finish. Michael Massey was race director. Michael Massey was race director in Bahrain, where it was the other safety car finish. This is what they know. Nose to tail, correct race order. Sakia. Nose to tail, correct race order. Abu Dhabi, 2020. Nose to tail, correct race order. Bahrain, nose to tail, correct race order. Emilia-Romagna, nose to tail, correct race order. Nose to tail, correct race order. Nose to tail, correct race order. Are you getting the picture? What we're seeing here, nose to tail, correct race order. The one hanging off the back is Giovinazzi, closer to the pack than he previously was. The mandatory procedures have been carried out, okay? And they've given the opportunity for sporting fairness. Azerbaijan, correct race order. There's a reason why Schumacher and Mazepin are off the back. That is because their team chose to pit them under that safety car, actually disadvantaging their own drivers. Okay, and I can take you through the race and show you that. Nose to tail, correct race order. Russell's actually disappearing off into the pits there, retiring. That's why you see him at the back, even though he actually doesn't appear last on that list. Nose to tail, correct race order. Nose to tail, correct race order. This one, Hamilton on his own on track. That's because the other cars went back into the pits to all change tyres, leaving Hamilton on the grid on his own. This is how the race resumed. But that's what it looked like on track of you. Oh, nothing on track because this was the Belgian parade. They never actually resumed. Well, they never got racing. It wasn't a race. Nose to tail, correct race order. 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 Abu Dhabi, number 52. Red Bull played some clever cards. What are we seeing? We're seeing first, second, 12th, 13th, 3rd, 4th, 14th. And then we're seeing 5th, 6th. And then out at turn 5, we're seeing 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Have we achieved nose to tail correct race order? No, we have not. No, we have not. 52 examples. 52 examples of what Michael Massey and 10 people in race control know. 2 of them were safety car finishes. Them safety car finishes, them dots on track, look like what you can see now. Every other resumption of racing was the correct race order with them cars nose to tail. You know what you need to achieve. You know the implications of why you need to achieve that. There are not just Michael Massey that knows that. There are 10 people at least in FIA race control who know that and who know the implications of that. So trying to suggest that this is just an error, this is something, oh, you didn't know that it would produce that, you didn't know that it would result in that, is absolute lies. You absolutely know what you're doing. You know the implications of what you're doing. And what you did, you separated out 2 cars, just first and second. You blocked off third from challenging. You did so knowing that second place was significantly advantaged to beat first. And then you illegally broke them rules to set off 1 lap like that. That is called race fixing because you know what it is you are setting up. You cannot just separate out 2 cars, 2 competitors in a multi-competitor event and just allow them to race off for the win while neglecting the chances of every competitor in that race. None of the world's media have ever stated that. I have contacted all of the world's media to tell them that. And none of them have ever exposed it because they are all corrupt and they are all owned by billionaires that are just parroting the same narrative because it's a corrupt narrative. It is truly disgusting. Truly disgusting. They've never exposed to the world the true reality of what Michael Massey knew, what the FIA know, and have just tried to pass this off with some lame-ass explanation of it just being a mistake. It is absolutely no mistake whatsoever. So this was the position just before the restart where I've just given you this screenshot just to demonstrate the fact that Ricciardo and Stroll was blocking off Sainz. So just to recap, 10 full seasons, up until and including Abu Dhabi, where they had been operating under the rules of releasing lapped cars before resuming racing after a safety incident. 199 Grand Prix held under those regulations, which mandated the unlapping procedure. It's not optional. 148 safety car deployments, of which 49 required the unlapping. You don't make a mistake like that. I've just given you the 52 instances where racing, where it's either a safety car procedure or a restarted resumption of racing under Michael Massey as race director. 52 examples. You do not make an error like that. Part 4 of this is going to explore these three guys, the three of the four stewards in Abu Dhabi who rejected Mercedes' valid appeal. So make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell to get the notification for that when that one is published. I need you all to not just like and subscribe to the channel. I need you to share this. This has got to be shared on social media so that every Formula One fan gets to see the truth, gets to see what really took place in Abu Dhabi. They have to realise this was no human error. Okay, it is not just, oh, Red Bull putting pressure on Massey. There are 10 people in race control. They all know what they're doing. They know the implications of what they're doing. They did it. That is corrupt. That is race fixing. And I will continue to prove and demonstrate exactly what they did. Share this, post it on social media, share it with everybody that you can. Forward it to celebrities, high profile people that can call this out. We will prove that to this world the corruption that is taking place. We've got to call these people out because this sport is not going to mend itself. It is corrupt. You've seen it happen in 2022 and 2023, the corrupt nature of what the FIA are doing. It's not going to right itself. We have to do something about it. Play your part. Play your part. The world will not be destroyed by those who do the evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything.